Hello and welcome back to my kitchen. Today I'm going to be making an easy raspberry cheesecake square. I'll be starting off with 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour, and I'll be adding in 1/2 cup plus 1 tablespoon of cold cubed butter and 1/4 cup of packed dark brown sugar. I've used a pastry cutter to help cut the butter into the flour until it resembles coarse like crumbs. You could also do this with 2 forks, or you could just use your hands if you wanted to, if you don't have a pastry cutter. Now that I have the shortbread crust assembled, I'll be putting it into a 9x9 baking dish that I've lined with parchment paper. It's going to look a little loose and crumbly right now, but as you press it down, it starts to come together, and then while it's in the oven, as the butter melts, it'll continue to bring the shortbread crust together. Alright, this is all done. It's going to go into a 350-degree oven where it's going to bake for about 20 to 25 minutes. Here at the stove, I'm heating up my saucepan on a low heat, and I'll be adding in 1 cup of fresh raspberries, 1/4 cup of granulated sugar, and 1/4 cup of water. In here I have 1 tablespoon of cornstarch, and I'll be adding in 3 tablespoons of plain water to make a cornstarch slurry. Once the cornstarch is all dissolved, it gets added into the saucepan, and then this gets brought up to a boil. As the fruit compote heats up, the raspberries will break down and it'll start to thicken, and then once it's nice and thick like this, it can be taken off the heat and set to the side. Now that the shortbread crust is out of the oven, I can go ahead and move on to making the cheesecake filling, and I'll be starting off by adding 1 package of room temperature cream cheese, 1/3 cup of granulated white sugar, 1 tablespoon of freshly squeezed lemon juice, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. The next thing I'll be mixing in is 1 whole egg, which I've already gone ahead and added into the bowl. And then the last thing to go in is 1/3 cup of heavy cream. Once all the heavy cream is mixed in, the cheesecake mixture gets poured on top of the shortbread crust. Once the cheesecake mixture has been evenly spread in the pan, I'm just dropping my raspberry compote, about 1 tablespoon at a time, here on top. See, that looks pretty good there. After I got the raspberry compote spread on top, I've just taken a knife and swirled it through the cheesecake mixture, and I think that looks pretty good. This is now going to go into a 350-degree oven where it's going to bake for about 25 to 30 minutes, or until the cheesecake is set. Once these come out of the oven, they do need to sit on the counter until they reach room temperature before being placed in a refrigerator for a minimum of 4 hours, or preferably overnight, before being sliced into equal-sized portions. I will say this is absolutely one of my favorite recipes to go to for desserts during the holidays. I love the shortbread crust. It is probably one of my favorite crusts when it comes to like a bar recipe. The cheesecake has a subtle lemon flavor to it from the lemon juice that I've added in, and it goes so well with the raspberry compote on top. Now, if raspberries are not your favorite thing, you can certainly substitute in an equal amount of, say, cherries or cranberries, or even like blackberries in the summertime, and it would still be just as amazing. But overall, that is going to be it for me for the day. If you have enjoyed this video, leave me a comment down below. If you tried this recipe out, let me know how it turned out for you. And as always, thank you all so very much for joining me today. I've been Vault Girl. I hope you guys have enjoyed, and I hope I'll see you in the next one.